What is it with this Mets team landing in DC and losing games in dramatic fashion? When we go back to how the season started for the Mets between themselves and the Nationals, going back to the last time they were in DC, which was June, that series was a 4-game set in which the Mets split. Francisco Alvarez and Jeff McNeil made their season debuts for the club at the time. Alvarez helped slug the Mets to victory in Game 2 of that series, but the games that the Mets lost, they lost in dramatic fashion because C.J. Abrams was scoring all the way to home from first. And you saw all these things go awry multiple times for this Mets team. Now we fast forward all these months later. The Mets are back in DC. They take Game 1 of this series comfortably by a final score of 8-1 as David Pearson was dominant on the mound yet again against the Nats yesterday. The bats broke out big time. They batted over 300 runners in scoring position, setting the stage for today with Kodai Senga. And what did we say last night's post-game show here on the platform, everybody? We said we need Kodai Senga to give us 6 strong innings against the sorry Washington Nationals. It's the Washington Nationals. There is zero excuse whatsoever not to at minimum be competent as a starter. Yet instead of getting competency from Kodai Senga, we get another nothing burger of an outing, another horrendous outing by Kodai. Now, 4 over his past 5 starts have been nothing short of useless. Kodai is not providing length, he's not providing confidence, and he continues to miss big time on some of his usual put-out pitches. When you guys take a look today on what we're going to break down in our latest New York Metropolitan post-game show here, presented by our great sponsors at SeatGeek and Moomoo, but more on them later, everybody. Look at this nonsense. This is not going to get the job done. This is supposed to be the so-called ace of this Mets rotation. Pardon me, everybody. Yet Kodai Senga yet again goes out and gives us nothing to work with whatsoever. The bats, they did plenty. They did not do enough, and I'm going to rag on them here in a second, but the bats at least showed a semblance of life after being down 4+ runs against this Washington Nationals team. The Nats came to play, the Mets and Kodai Senga most certainly did it. And on the offensive end, this is how the ballgame ended, everybody. Cedric Mullins just legs one out there for an infield single. Of course, Luis Torrens stays in there because the Mets figured, you know what, let's not pinch it for Torrens for, say, Mauricio or someone else off the bench. He's been hitting the ball hard. There's a clear gap there to center right field, even though Torrens is a prime candidate to be a double play ball there. And what happens? Torrens grounds into the double play. Upon review, he's out, and that's the ball game. We're going to break down everything that transpired in this very frustrating loss for the Mets here tonight, everybody. The good was most certainly Brett Baty, Brett Bonds Baty, as I love to call him. Brett Baty is swinging the bat so well for the Mets right now. But over the past calendar month, he now has an over 255 average and an 860 or so OPS. He has not been the problem by any stretch. He has actually been part of the answer for this Mets team trying to get out of their rut with their offensive woes that have plagued them throughout the course of the season. The problem, everybody, as we get into this very deflating 5-4 loss here in DC against the Nats, is headlined by the fact that you had a prime opportunity to rally all the way back. You had all the opportunity in this ballgame to go ahead and actually secure not only the lead, but the victory in the end. Yet after the Mets rally in this ballgame, after initially being down 4 runs, they make it a 1-run ballgame just to do nothing with the bats whatsoever. How many hits do the Mets get that we see after that inning? They get 1. And the 1 hit they had was Cedric Mullins there, who just got himself on base in the 9th inning. Otherwise, the Mets went down. They pretty much went down with 9 consecutive batters going down in order. A sorry Washington Nationals bullpen, which is one of the worst in all the National League. The Mets unfortunately could not hit to save their life. So a tease of a rally by this amazing Mets team as they falter tonight to the Washington Nationals. And now, folks, as we take a look at the wildcard standings, regardless as if you care about it or not, this is the status. The Mets are now just a half game up yet again on the Cincinnati Reds. They have the same amount of wins as the Reds, but they have 1 less loss. That is the only thing going in their favor. The Phillies are now comfortably 6.5 games up on the Mets right now that we see in the NL East as they demolish Luis Castillo and the Mariners, because the Mariners are the most sorry team that you could say that's supposed to be good out of the American League as they come. The Mets hail them 2 out of 3 without a problem, and the Phillies are going absolutely berserk against them in Philadelphia. Trey Turner had a 5-for-6 game today. The Phillies are rolling. They're buzzing, rightfully so, while the Mets here are just trying to stay afloat as a playoff contending team. So we have a lot of breakdown. We have a lot of frustration get into this, and I wholeheartedly agree. Why are you not pinch hitting Luis Torrens in that circumstance, right? This is the same Torrens that almost exited the ball game earlier in this game because of the fact that he got drilled right on the hand with a catcher's interference that was technically his fault, but the bat, obviously, the follow through, hits him on the glove hand, he would stay in the ball game. Terens is a dog for that. The Mets can't have more catchers going out with injury, or else I'm going to have to go out there and be our backstop before we know it. And no one wants that. It's going to be pass balls and wild pitch galore. But what I can tell you in that same breath is that while Luis Terens, I was happy that he stayed in the ball game, I was not happy to see Terens stay in this one, because I understand. You say to yourself, if you're Carlos Mendoza, if you pinch it for Terens here and then nothing happens, there you go. If you pinch it for Terens here, then you have to worry about who's going to catch, potentially if you go into extras. Hayden Senger, listen, we don't need the guy to be dominant offensively. We just need him to be something on the defensive end. We're not asking for much with Hayden Senger, Mr. Whole Foods, if you know, you know. But what we are asking for is to make the proper in-game decisions. And between Kodai Senga facing one batter too long that thankfully didn't bite the Mets in the butt, thankfully, because Tyler Rogers knows a thing or two about quick double play balls with the first two pitches that he throws. If it wasn't for that, I hated Carlos Mendoza's decision-making today. I did not like how he went about Kodai Senga entering that sixth inning. The same way that I did not understand. I'm still trying to fathom why are you not considering a Ronnie Mauricio type among others that were available off the bench for you there for Terens? I get it. Terens has hit the ball hard, very much so tonight. I also understand that in that same breath again, that this is the same Luis Terens, they really did not provide anything offensively. Regardless of him smoking a baseball 110 miles per hour, it's still a ground out. You see the trend? Terens is always going to hit for opposite field. He is the most opposite field hitting Met that the Mets currently have on their roster. There is not a single Mets batter that averages as much opposite field contact the way that Terens does in this lineup, and that is a fact. So what do you think, maybe it's not the brightest idea to have Luis Terens get perfectly set up there for a double play ball the way that he was to end this ball game. And I'm not going to rag solely on Carlos Mendoza for this. It comes down to not only Kodai Senga looking like batting practice yet again, because he did not have his put-out pitches, but it's paired with a Mets offense that came to play, but did not come to play enough. They only came sporadically, and before we knew it, the Mets find themselves dropping this ball game by a final score of 4-5. The legend Wardy going off rightfully. So we got Hot Take Hockey in the chat. My dog, John, long time no see, brother. If you guys don't know Hot Take Hockey, make sure to subscribe to him on YouTube. One of the best hockey YouTubers on the planet. Him and I go way back to when I was not only WardyNYM, but Wardy NHL. If you know, you know. When I first started making sports content here on YouTube 5+ years ago. Thank you guys so much for chiming in live on a replay. Do not hesitate from telling me exactly how you feel, Mets fans, after what was a very frustrating 5-4 defeat tonight that we're about to break down. Casey with a $5 holla says, tomorrow is the ultimate gut check game. Need this series to win to keep any kind of momentum and a dogfight for the playoffs against a bad team. They 100% need it. That's what makes a loss like this sting 10 times more. You really mean to tell me that we're losing a one-run ball game in DC against the sorry Washington Nationals, and the manner that the way the Mets lost is what makes it even worse? What has been the trend from the Mets in their winning ways as of late? It's not just hitting with runners in scoring position, because they've been doing that plenty the past week. Thankfully, finally, it took them long enough. They're finally starting to hit competently with runners in scoring position. And while they do that, the Mets are getting pitching at the same time. David Pearson looked fantastic. Noah McLean was brilliant in his debut. The Mets are finally starting to get some stability there on the rotation front. And your so-called ace, the man who's supposed to carry your rotation, the man who's supposed to frontline your rotation, looks like nothing more than another 3 or 4 starter that the Mets can circle out and interchange at any point in time in the course of the 162 in the rotation. That's why I'm pissed off. This further amplifies why the Mets had clear woes with the rotation this season, and after they went down with injuries, not just Senga, because Senga hasn't been the same since he went down with injury, which is what makes this sting 10 times more. He was brilliant this season up until his injury, and now since his injury, Kodai Senga, everybody, has been as follows. In case you guys are wondering just how inconsistent Kodai Senga has been, his last start prior to this was 5.2 innings of 2 earned run ball against the Atlanta Braves. Before that, it's 4.1 innings of 3 run ball there that we saw against the Brewers. Before that, it's 4 innings of 5 hit, 4 earned run ball against the Giants. Before that, it's 5 innings of 3 earned run ball against the Giants. Before that, it is going to be 3 innings of 4 earned run ball against the LA Angels. We are well over a month's sample size now of Kodai Senga not getting the job done. And this is a problem when the Mets are clearly as reliant as they are for stability there from their top starters, as well as what they're hoping to get there on the consistency front with their offense. You know, there's a reason why we say the Mets have no identity whatsoever this season, and the reason why we amplify that is because the Mets, unlike last year in 2024, where they were the rally kings, they were that never say die mentality. This Mets team, what made them so brilliant last year and to get out of the rut that they were in is because they never said die until that final out. They did not roll over more often than not. This year's Mets, completely different. Even after having the little rally, a tease of a rally, if you will, in this game against the Nationals that we're going to break down shortly, everybody, on our latest post-game show. Thank you so much for hitting that like and subscribe on your way in. We also have to emphasize the fact that the Mets don't have a single effing win this season, let alone a comeback after being down after the 8th inning. The Mets have nothing. And I understand there's a lot of time, a lot of outs to work with, but this is the same team that a year ago was doing this so consistently. A couple years ago was even doing it impressive as well. Not so much 2023, but more so 2022 in the first half. We've seen the flashes. We've seen the dramatics with this offense. We know when they've clutched up and have built an identity of that never say die mentality, but it's nowhere to be seen yet again. When the Mets have won their ball games as of late, have you seen the trend? They've won ball games in which not only are they supposed to win, but they're winning ball games because they're getting off to fairly comfortable leads and their pitching is backing them up. You guys see it right here, right now with me. When the Mets do not have the starting pitching, they're more than likely going to roll over and die. When the Mets, unfortunately, are in a 4-run plus hole within the first 3 to 4 innings of the ball game, color me shocked. It's almost like they're not going to rally back and win it every single time. So this is not solely on the offense. There were things that I liked about the offense and their resiliency in this matchup, but what I absolutely despise and hate is a Kodai Senga, who again is supposed to be the guy for this Mets team, and he continues to look anything but. And the greater problem is you say to yourself, okay, Brandon Sproat, Jonathan, call up the kids. And we're going to have a great discussion in regards to that tomorrow. So make sure you guys are on the platform for it. But in the interim right now, there is still no guarantees as to the impact that the young players will give you when you call them up. And this is all now at a point in the year where outside of the waiver claim wire that's coming up here August 28th, the Mets may claim some players are going to be made available because they're going to be cut from semi-contending teams, but finally decide to cut bait with rental contracts because they know that they're not going anywhere. They're not going to make playoffs this year. So maybe, just maybe, there is still something out there for this Mets team. But the fact that we're even considering relying on waiver claims at the end of the month tells you just how bad of a position this Mets team continues to find themselves in. Yoshimo the $2. Where's Ryan Mauricio? Inexcusable not to pinch it. I wholeheartedly agree. It was a prime opportunity to pinch him there, and yet we did nothing about it. Very frustrating. That in itself is an understatement. We're not only going to emphasize Terrence not pinch hitting in that 9th inning role where it honestly felt like it made a good amount of sense, but on top of it all, everybody, this was a prime opportunity to beat up on the Washington Nationals, the team that you already beat 6 out of 8 tries this season. All you need to go out is play competent baseball, and you're going to come out with a series victory. Instead, the Mets now head with the rubber match tomorrow, 4:05 p.m. Eastern. I will be live on DraftNet Mark's YouTube channel and his playback watch party show, so make sure you guys check it out. Head over to playback.tv/DraftNetMark. Check it out, guys. The same way that we do our playback streams on this platform is the same way that I'll be collabing with Mark Plenty that you guys have seen in the past on his platform as well. Mark and I, diehard Mets fans, you guys know the drill by now in regards to us. Check out the content. We'll be live again right at the start of tomorrow's game until its conclusion, and then after that, I'll be live here back on my YouTube channel for our latest post-game coverage, win, lose, or draw, and everything in between. But as I said a second ago, and I'll say it once more, everybody, do not hold back from telling me how you're feeling right now. We have a lot of numbers and a lot of breakdown in this one, because not only was it frustrating to see the Mets lose in the fashion the way that they did today, but the Mets also lost Brandon Nimmo. We're going to wait to find out exactly to the extent is Brandon Nimmo just going to be day-to-day. He exited this ball game in the 2nd inning today as Starling Marte came in for defense, which no one loves to see because of, yes, Brandon Nimmo for the 2nd time this year took himself out of the ball game because of neck stiffness. I'm actually going to listen to him on my TV real quick to hear what he has to say.
Was affecting the swing and me running. I wasn't able to do what I wanted out on the defense either. When I was running in, I wasn't able to look up. So I was being a detriment on both ends, and so we decided to go ahead and get out of there. But yeah, sometimes I can just fight through it in the past, and wasn't able to. So we'll look for it to get better in the next couple days. But that's the unfortunate part of this is when it pops up, it just takes a few days to get out.
Okay, guys, so that was Brandon Nimmo's live words post-game there with SNY, and a key standout for me is Buddy couldn't even look up. It's really that bad? Brandon Nimmo just said verbatim that he couldn't even look up, which is what led him to exiting today's ball game. Now, in case you guys are unaware, this is not the first time that Brandon Nimmo has had neck stiffness issues. He actually pulled himself from a ball game later in May, back on May 23rd, as a matter of fact, because of this exact same issue. Now, this is something that Nimmo has dealt with going back to 2019, so he should be able to play through it, but it's discouraging knowing that, again, you're probably not going to get Nimmo at full health, and he's a guy that's likely going to be day-to-day, which means that Brandon Nimmo more than likely is not going to be in the lineup tomorrow for the Mets, knowing that they have a fairly quick turnaround with that 4 or 5 p.m. Eastern game. Barring changes, obviously, but again, things to definitely be frustrated by, because you're seeing the dominoes fall in certain areas. You're seeing a team that had prime opportunity to pounce on a lesser opponent the way that they did in this time, that being the Nationals, and they just could not get the job done. I'm sorry, as much as I'm going to be ecstatic and excited when the Mets do well and win baseball games, is the same way that I'm going to call them out when they don't win games. They absolutely not only should win, but they should dominate. This should not even be a hesitation as to what things should be. Nimmo's going on the IL. There's nothing to suggest that yet, so we'll wait and see on the Nimmo front. Obviously, things get really bad, he'll be placed on the injured list, and then I'll want to scream. And we're going to talk more on the injured list and content tomorrow, because we do have some key updates to share in regards to guys like Jose Siri, Tyler McGill, and many others. So be on the lookout for that. And no, guys, the Mets are not going to be calling up Carson Benj right now. Benj is on the 7-day IL, and he'll be fine. Jet Williams has been balling out in Syracuse as well, but the Mets are not going to be doing any of those calls unless they absolutely need to. It ain't going to happen. Brandon Nimmo is likely going to be day-to-day, and this is very frustrating because, again, while Nimmo hasn't necessarily had the most consistent year, nor has this entire Mets team, and he has been valuable. He was actually very valuable yesterday as he kick-started the ball game for the Mets in the right favor with his offense, and his RBI is what got the Mets going as they would go on to put up 8 runs on Jake Irvin and that Nationals team. We see another $5 haul from my guy Casey. Tonight sucks, but after losing 14-16 to me, it's about taking series. Win tomorrow, try to win a series in Atlanta, have a winning road trip, small steps. I understand it's baby steps and beggars can't be choosers, but my God, when you go out and you win in the fashion and the way the Mets won yesterday, when you go out and win in the fashions that the Mets have done plenty this year, I expect you to put up a better performance than what we got today. This was as big of a tease as they come, everybody. So let's go ahead and break down the tease that was in DC between the Mets and the Nationals here, as the Mets lose by a dramatic final score of 5-4. Before we get into this, everybody, let's give a quick shout out to our amazing sponsors at SeatGeek. Make sure to utilize our promo code WardyNYM. That way you too get 10% off your next ticket purchase. And as you guys can see beside me right there, I love the SeatGeek app. It's so easy to navigate and utilize there. They have a grading scale system 1 to 10, red to green, meaning if you try to buy a ticket that's in the red range 1 through 4, it ain't a good bang for your buck. You should get a different ticket there in the SeatGeek app, more in the 7 through 10 range, and in the green, that tells you that's a great bang for your buck. Go ahead and land them, whether you want Mets tickets, concert show tickets, comedy show tickets, NFL tickets with the season right around the corner, you name it. SeatGeek, utilize our promo code WARDY10 down below, and thank you guys kindly for that, as well as hearing from our amazing sponsor in the platform that many of you guys know here at Nimmo, the official trading platform of the New York Mets. Folks, have you been seeing that big orange bowl that's making Mondays at Citi Field way more exciting? I'm talking about our amazing sponsor in the platform at Nimmo. As the #1 Mets channel on YouTube, I absolutely love to break down stats, analysis, really getting into the nitty-gritty and numbers, and that is why I love so much Nimmo, because they do exactly that with that same analytical approach when it comes to investing. It's a trading platform with professional grade tools and premium research that other companies usually charge a pretty hefty price for, all come for free when you sign up as a customer with Nimmo. But folks, that's just the tip of the iceberg. And thanks to Nimmo's partnership with our beloved New York Metropolitans, all Nimmo customers can get free tickets to any and every Mets home game on a Monday throughout the course of the season. That's right, folks. Free baseball all season long for the greatest fan base in sports. Not to mention Nimmo Millions. If the Mets pull off 100 wins this season, one lucky Nimmo customer is going to come out winning $1 million. And what's nuts about this is that Nimmo has already given away $10,000 when the Mets hit first 25 wins this season, as well as $20,000 when they hit the 50-win mark. And when the Mets inevitably hit 75 wins, they're giving away $30,000. But as much as they love baseball, Nimmo's #1 priority is jump-starting your investing journey, which is why they're giving the WardyNYM community up to $1,000 in NVIDIA stock just for making a qualified deposit and becoming a Nimmo customer. So folks, what are you waiting for? Head to start.nimmo.com/Wardy, scan the QR code, or click the link in the description to join the Nimmo community. Now, let's get back to our Mets. All right, guys, shout out once more to our great friends at Moomoo. We appreciate them. Scan that QR code should you have interest to sign up today, everybody. I will be hanging out with my awesome friends at Moomoo there in the Moomoo Suite Monday, August 25th, between the Mets and the Phillies. And you guys are going to have an opportunity to hang out with your guy Wardy potentially there at the actual game itself. Be on the lookout for more promo in the coming days in regards to that, everybody. But I am looking forward to that. Hopefully, we can finally get a victory at Citi Field because a lot of losing has happened when I've been there as of late. And at first, I thought it was a me problem, but after reassessing things, I realized no, it's more of a Mets problem. The Mets have been as Jekyll and Hyde and as inconsistent as they come, which is exactly why no one is surprised by the reality. The Mets are now 6.5 games out behind the Philadelphia Phillies for first place. And when we take a look at the standings overall now, the Mets are 67-59 on the season, just 8 games up there, which is not ideal for a team that was 21 games above 500 earlier this season. Shout out to KC, PB9, great member as always, Eric Douglas, great member, Rebecca, great member, Ray, Josh, how you doing? Going up the list here to everybody watching live right now and to our replay viewers. Let us know your biggest takeaways in the comments down below. We appreciate it. Nathan, how we doing? PA, Matt, going up here. We got Danny. We got Patrick St. Clair in here. We got Ray. We got Mark going up here even more. We got Thomas. We got William. We got Anthony. We got Julia Hawkins, great member as always. We got all you guys watching live on our replay. Zach Flaherty, how are you doing? NYC Committee, how are you? Anthony, how we doing? We got going up the list here even more. We got Danny. We got another Danny here. We got Pagan, how we doing? We got Advocate. We got Snags, great members always. Happy to have you enter, my guy. We got Mothman, great members always. Cobb, Sprode, I'm with you. And we're going to talk a lot more on that in content tomorrow, so be on the lookout for it. We got Jason in the chat, how we doing? We got Rocket Man, great member in the chat as well. All you guys watching live at a replay, thank you so much again for taking the time. I really do appreciate it. Cap looks good on you, Wardy. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that as well. Always appreciate the compliment after a very frustrated day. And as someone in the chat says, the New York Mets, that could not have been more accurate than right here, right now, everybody. So, Brandon Nimmo left the ball game today. Luis Strenz obviously got hit right on the hand with the catcher's interference. We saw Brett Beatty, who looked fantastic, and we're going to go back to him and break down his great offensive game yet again today. We just saw what was a sloppy baseball game and a ball game that all in all the Mets should have had. So enough of me rambling more than I typically am, everybody. Let's go ahead and break down what was a very frustrating ball game together watching live at a replay. And it begins there in the first, everybody. Those 6:45 p.m. Eastern games continue to throw me off. I was off both yesterday and today. I saw that the game didn't already started. We were inning in, and I thought it was going to be like a 7-7-10, so shame on me for that. But Lindor gets off with a leadoff single. Lindor now has 8 straight games with a hit. Love to see that. Nice little 8-game heater there for Lindor, but we needed more from Lindor today, to say the least, because Nimmo would ground into a double play. That does it there for the inning. In the bottom of the first, we would see Kodai Senga get off to an early groove. Again, he's striking out James Wood and Josh Bell. He strikes out 2 of the first 3 batters that he sees. You say to yourself, okay, Kodai Senga's looking good tonight. He's off to a nice little hot start. I think we're going to get a strong 6 innings from Kodai. Well, sorry, guys. That was not going to be the reality. With 2 outs, Mark Vientos continues his red-hot stretch. And, guys, I'm so happy to see Vientos not only raking, spreading for all fields, but what he's doing really well is getting consistent playing time at DH. It's almost like that's where he should have been consistently from the start this year, yet we have a schmuck at times of a manager, and again, nothing personal against Mendy. I just don't understand the thought process whatsoever. I do understand Mendy has his laps, the front office has their laps, and they probably merge them together to figure out what makes sense based off the numbers as well as the eye test. Well, Vientos is really starting to heat up right now, and he needs to be in this lap every single day. Not at third base, because he's a liability there, we all know this, but you need him at DH. And Vientos at DH yet again smokes an opposite field double, his 15th double of the season, everybody, putting himself in scoring position for Brett Beatty, and Beatty would be productive today, but not yet, as Beatty grounds out to end the inning. And then, pardon me, guys, as we would see then the next half inning for this Mets team in the bottom of the second, we would see Starling Marte enter the ball game because, as I mentioned, Brandon Nimmo exited today's game there that we saw with neck stiffness. And as I relayed with the audio just a couple minutes ago, Nimmo does appear like he's going to be dealing with this at least day to day, and then they're going to take it from there. Garcia grounds out, DeYoung flies out, and Lyle grounds out. So another clean inning of work there early for Kodai Senga. You say to yourself, again, Kodai's looking good. Man, if only that was going to be true for the remainder of this ball game. In the top of the third, the Mets go down in order. They got nothing going. In the bottom of the third there, Dylan Cruz gets on with a leadoff walk. Drew Millis would then reach on catcher's interference that we just talked about. Trent's was okay, but he was a little beat up at first. Robert Hassel III, one of the many pieces, a part of that Juan Soto trade with the Padres a couple years ago. He was the lesser piece between himself, C.J. Abrams, James Wood, and obviously the big one, and Mackenzie Gore on the pitching end. But Hassel would ground into a force out there. And after that force out, we would see James Wood get on with a walk. So it's bases loaded, everybody. And here comes C.J. Abrams. The same way that C.J. Abrams was a thorn in the Mets side the last time they were in D.C., he would be that yet again, as he would rip an RBI single to give them the early 1-0 lead. And then Josh Bell with a quick sac fly, and the snap of a finger, the Mets are down by 2. Luis Garcia would ground out, but not before the Nationals would take an early 2-0 lead through 3. In the 4th inning, guys, we would see Juan Soto out on a called strike 3. Mind you, this umpire looked like Helen Keller today, had absolutely no clue what they were doing, and that's why Caro, the Venezuelan interim manager there for the Nationals, would actually be thrown out from this ball game in the 6th inning today because he was arguing balls and strikes, which I don't blame him. The guy was a blind bat today on both sides, but the Mets did get some calls in their favor, no doubt about it, and I'll emphasize which ones those were in particular. But after the Soto called strike 3, we would see Starling Marte again, his first at-bat of the day, and for Nimmo, he gets on with a single. Why? Because Marte finds himself batting 280 in his sleep, like I say all the time. Unfortunately, Alonso would grind into a double play, so that does it for the inning. Mets can't get anything going. In the bottom of the 4th, Paul effing DeYoung, the man who has been a Mets killer, now is a borderline MLB player. He's back in the line for the Nationals today, and what does he do? He hits the softest effing double down the third baseline you'll ever see. That gets him comfortably in scoring position. Then a strikeout layer on Lyle. Dylan Cruz would hit his 4th double of the year. Dylan Cruz only has 4 doubles this season and 2 triples, yet he has 3 of those damn hits between the triples and the doubles against this Mets team. What is with Dylan Cruz being not a good player unless he's facing the Mets? This is driving me up an effing wall. He has 2 triples this year. The first happened against the Mets on April 25th, there that we saw earlier this year. The second happened yesterday. Dylan Cruz today now with just his 4th effing double this season, because of course it is. That makes it 3-0 Washington Nationals. And what bothers me is not just Dylan Cruz being the Mets daddy for whatever reason. It's more so the fact that when you look at how Dylan Cruz hit this baseball, you know what? It's really easy to hit the ghost fork when you throw it middle. What's the point in utilizing your putout pitch if you're not going to utilize it as a proper putout pitch that's supposed to be? I want that ghost fork utilized when it's time to strike his ass out. Not on strike 2, especially when you literally throw it middle, the way that Kodai Senga did today. And before you guys say to yourself, oh, give some Kodai some flack here, pump the brakes on being so rude on Kodai. Clearly, it wasn't that bad of a pitch. You guys enlighten me. How good or bad of a pitch do you think this was by Kodai Senga? I think that this is what we call dog shit. I mean, pardon my French, but I got to be a little blunt here when I say these things. I'm going to be mad after the Mets lose ball games you're supposed to win, especially ones like this. But you see this? Explain to me how this makes sense. Where's the location? It was not only a bad game by Terrence behind the plate, but it was an equally bad game, if not worse, by Mr. Kodai Senga. Because yes, he pounded the strike zone. What do you effing do? I can care less if he's pounding the strike zone, if he's pounding it to become batting practice the way that he was for this Washington Nationals team. So after that, everybody, that increases the Nationals lead that we would see there by a score at the time at least of 3-0, and it would get from bad to worse. What we would see afterwards is that Drew Millis, you talk about guys getting their first career triple against the Mets. Well, we saw Cruz do that against the Mets earlier this season and a triple yesterday. Well, now Drew Millis hits his first triple this season, because of course he does, against this Mets team. That makes it 4-0. Why? Because everybody and their mother is going gap to gap against Kodai Senga. And it isn't shocking when you understand against the pitch placement of Kodai Senga. Batting practice. He has himself to blame. Look at this, guys. Again, pitch number 2, Kodai had no confidence in his fastball whatsoever today. It was horrendous. Instead, let's throw a sweeper right down the dick, because surely that's going to make sense. Literally 78 miles per hour, middle. I'm sorry. Your grandma could hit that for at minimum an infield single. I know she could bust her ass down that first base line, the way that Cedric Mullins was in the 9th inning. I know it can happen. The same way that I know that Kodai Senga continues to look like a shell of the man he needs to be and is supposed to be for this Mets team in this rotation. That triple there by Drew makes it a 4-0 Nationals lead, and the snap of a finger to say to yourself, oh my God, the Mets are really going to lose this game and get blown out by the Washington Nationals a day removed after we as in the Mets blew them out just a night ago. As we continue on, everybody, a half inning later, we find ourselves in the 5th inning. In the 5th inning, Brett Beatty says, enough of this. We have to break the ice at least a little bit. With 2 outs, Brett Beatty says, let's go ahead, and let me go ahead and get this one. Brett Beatty, who blasted a bomb roughly 430 feet a night ago, does it again tonight. He gets all that one. But when I tell you that Brett Beatty decimated this baseball, guys, you see it in the highlights beside me, it's not an understatement. Brett Beatty destroyed this baseball 115 miles per hour and a 97 mile per hour fastball inside on pitch number 6, and 455 feet. That is not only the largest and longest home run of Brett Baty's career, but that is the second longest home run the Mets have hit this season. No, that's not an exaggeration. That is how good Brett Baty has been. And to speak about how good Brett Baty has been, everybody, let's not forget that now Baty, going back over his past 30 games, has an OPS of 860 and a batting average north of 260 or so. So Baty has not only been solid, he has been proficient. He has been anything and everything that you could possibly ask for from a third base option for the Mets right now. Now it just comes down to consistent playing time and being the dog that we saw him be today, yesterday, and hopefully in the days going forward. But that Brett Bonds Baty, as I love to call him, bomb, made it a 3-run deficit for the Mets, and that would not be all she wrote in this ball game. Cedric Mullins would get on there with a single right afterwards, and then we would see, unfortunately, Terren's ground out. But as I said, Terren's had some really hard ground outs in this ball game. This one, not so much, though. It was 93 there, and it was opposite field because he was always swinging behind. That's another thing. I like Terren's a lot, but both things can be true, guys. If you're wondering, why does Terren's go opposite field so much? It has a lot to do with the fact that he is not in front. He is behind a lot of the time with this swing. His timing of his swing really isn't that great, but it benefits him because there's usually a solid gap there that we see of the unofficial shift, if you will, there between first and second base. That gap to the right side is something that Torrens has taken more advantage of than any other Mets batter this season for the most part, especially as a batter batting from the right side, but it doesn't tell you that he's actually hitting for quality because he's not. Torrens, again, is normally closer to a 200 hitter than Mendoza line and doesn't even have a 600 OPS. It isn't all that shocking when you understand what his plate approach actually is, and that is why losing Francisco Alvarez hurts and stings 10 times more. And that's why, even if the Mets do make playoffs this year, I'm beyond disgruntled knowing that Alvarez will probably not be able to be the guy the Mets need him to be, even if he returns from his injury, because he's going to be dealing with a torn ligament in his thumb. That sprain, that partially torn, UCL, whatever it is there, and that thumb is an issue. And I don't know if he's going to get back to actually being the hitter that he was, because Alvarez has not proven whatsoever that coming back from injury immediately that he's productive. He has yet to do so in his 3 major injuries that he's had over the past calendar year and a half. He also is a guy that obviously rides off of momentum, so that doesn't help him. And you mean to tell me that he has to deal with a bad thumb? The stars are aligned to say, hey, Alvarez, even if he does, in fact, not get surgery until the offseason, he's probably not going to play at a rate that you're going to be overly happy about on the offensive end. I hope I'm proven wrong, but it's a rightful thing to be concerned about as a fan, especially when you look at where we're at this point in the season. The Mets don't have any other options, and they're not going to rush up a kid like Kevin Parada as much as you want them to. The Mets are more than likely going to add a grizzled veteran of a catcher, and I will not be surprised if the Mets continue the Kodai Senga tandem for the next week or so, and they wait until around August 28th when the waiver wire claims pick up again, where you're going to see every team have their deadline of figuring out, okay, it's time to cut bait with some guys. We're not going to make playoffs this year. You're on a rental contract. There's no reason for me to pay you anymore. You're going to see some guys be made available around then. Could we see a catcher made available that at least can be decent for the Mets as a backup to Terrens, if not around the same level? We'll just have to wait and see. But what I will tell you right now is that Terrens not only is not the sharpest option the Mets have catching-wise right now, but it sticks out like a sore thumb when you have a manager in Carlos Mendoza that was so stubborn not to pinch hit this man in the 9th inning when you actually had a runner on base. God forbid we did something competent when it came to proper decision-making today, but I digress. In the bottom of the 5th inning, everybody, we see with 1 out, Josh Bell, what does he do? He eats up meatballs. It's not just because Josh Bell is a big, thick man, and he knows he is, but it's more so because of the fact that Josh Bell takes a cutter 89 miles per hour down the effing pipe. Again, when you serve up batting practice as consistently as Kodai Senga did today, it makes it a hell of a lot easier to go ahead and have the actual success that the Nationals had. Again, look at the pitch placement. It's dog water. It's below pond scum. It's horrendous. And it drives me up an effing wall because all Kodai needed to do was dot his corners the way we know he brilliantly can. But today, instead, no put-out pitches, no ghost fork. If he's throwing the ghost, he's either throwing it way out of the zone or he's throwing it right down the effing pipe. Today, he throws that cutter. Again, batting practice, just shy middle, just down below from that middle box. It's still way too much hard to play, everybody, and that would increase the Nationals' lead 5-1 at that point. So the Nats are up by 4 yet again this ball game. How do the Mets respond offensively, folks? They would do as follows, because Kodai Senga would get out of that, not before the Nationals would be up by 4 runs. Then, guys, in the 6th inning, Francisco Lindor, leadoff walk. Juan Soto, a walk. 2 on, no out right away. And then we did see the manager of the Washington Nationals, thrown out of the ball game in this inning because he was arguing balls and strikes there with Helen Keller, a.k.a. the umpire. Afterwards, guys, Starling Marte would be called out on strikes, and then we would see who steps up. It's the polar bear that steps up. When in doubt, polar bear out. Pete Alonso goes opposite field for his 32nd double of the season, everybody. That made a 3-run deficit for this Mets team, but they're at least now within striking distance. What happens after? We would see Jeff McHits, more like Jeff McDoubles, everybody. McNeil, who was just a triple shy away of the cycle yesterday after getting on with a walk, a single, a double, and a gorgeous home run in the 9th inning. Jeff McNeil with his 16th double of the year, everybody, drives in a pair of runners, and that makes it a 1-run deficit. The Mets are only down 5-4, and just like that, they are so close yet so far from victory. All they needed was to continue the rally that they had going in this inning. Yet, what do they do instead? They don't record a single effing hit. Unless your name is Cedric Mullins with a little comebacker in the 9th inning that just got him on base in time. No one knew how to hit a baseball. No one knew how to hit an effing beach ball for the next couple innings, and that is also why this loss is as frustrating as it is. It's Kodai Senga not getting the job done. It's the offense teasing our asses to say, hey, we're going to get close, but there's going to be no cigar. We're not going to get as far as we're hoping to get. Vientos, mind you, would reach on a throwing error by Paul DeJong. Paul DeJong is making Mark Vientos look like a Gold Glover there. That's how bad he looked at third today. He would have a botched throw there. That allows Mark, and Mark is not known for the speed either, so that's how you know it was a terrible throw. Vientos gets to first. Brett Beatty gets on with a walk. Cedric Mullins with a flyout, everybody, but it's still bases loaded. It is bases juiced for Luis Torrens in the 6th inning, and this is the Luis Torrens ground out that's done the most today. 110 miles per hour off the bat, but it goes strictly opposite field, right there into the infield, and that does it there for the inning. As we head to the bottom of the 6th, Lyle gets on with a leadoff single. Tyler Rogers then comes in, because again, this is what I personally disagree with Carlos Mendoza. Thankfully, it did not come back to bite the Mets. That's important here, everybody. If you guys haven't, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button on your way, and it's greatly appreciated. Help us get to 150 plus likes to our live and recurring viewers. We have north of 300 of you guys watching us live right now, and a couple thousand more that will be watching on a replay. If you guys could, at minimum, just hit that like and subscribe button for me. Help us get 150 likes. That would really mean a lot, and thank you so much for doing that, as well as helping us get also to 35,000 subscribers, because we're giving away a new jersey giveaway to one lucky subscriber every new 1,000 subscriber milestone that we hit here on the platform. I see your comments, questions, and concerns, guys. I'm going to get to them plenty once I'm done breaking down this ball game in a rapid-fire fashion. Tyler Rogers comes in, though, and listen, Rogers gets the job done. He gets a quick double play ball in the first 2 pitches he throws to Dylan Cruz after Lyle got on with the initial single. But again, though, I understand Kodai Senga was at right around 80 pitches entering the 6th inning. Still doesn't justify putting him out there, in my opinion. And in case you're wondering, Wardy, why would he want to try to stretch Senga out more? The reason why is he was batting practice today. Where is the game feel by Carlos Mendoza? It is non-existent. I feel like this man is looking way too much at the numbers more than half the time lately, because it just does not add up why he makes some of the decisions that he does. There was never a justified reason to keep Senga in this ball game. Even knowing Tyler Rogers can come in shortly after and hopefully induce a double play ball the way that he did, it just didn't add up. It didn't add up then the same way that it doesn't add up now. And because of that reason is why I have such a gripe to a degree with Mendy's decision making, as well as Kodai Senga's final line, everybody, because it was as follows. Kodai Senga goes a whopping 5 innings of 6 hit, 5 run, 4 earned run, 2 walk, 4 strikeout ball, has a 2.58 ERA this season. But guys, if you understand the context of this ERA, if you know what he has done over his past 5+ starts, which has not been good for the most part, Senga has not went into the 6th inning once. It is now the 61st consecutive effing game that if your name is not David Pearson, you have not went beyond 5 or so innings for the Mets team. No pitcher has gotten a single effing out in the 6th inning since, not since, but outside of David Pearson over the past 2+ months. That is a record that's ongoing going back to 1901. That is dog water, and that is the Mets rotation. I'm not going to sit here and break down Kodai Senga's arsenal today. We know the Ghost Fork wasn't working. We know everything about his arsenal was not working today. What is Kodai going to get on a final score, final line of 1-10? And easy from your guy Wardy, Kodai Senga's getting a 3 out of 10 today. I thought he looked like shit. There was not a lot that I was encouraged by with Senga at all. Even when he was getting the early swing and miss, it was the first inning or so. He completely fell off shortly after. Nothing about Senga was encouraging today. Nothing whatsoever. You could say, oh, well, if we're going to pull a glass half full here, you know what? I do kind of like the fact that at least he was able to pound the strike zone. But I'm sorry. I don't care, again, if he's pounding the strike zone, if he's pounding it for batting practice for the Washington Nationals. It does not matter then. I'd rather him kind of work around the zone a little bit if he's going to have himself 4 scoreless innings with 4 to 5 effing walks, and at least we knew that he was quality when he was actually attacking the strike zone. Instead, Senga attacks the strike zone. He looks more vulnerable than he probably ever has looked this season. That's a problem, everybody, and that's why I feel the way that I do. So I'm giving him a 3 out of 10. That is my final line. You guys can let me know if you agree or disagree in the live chat and the comments down below, as Senga, again here, gives up 5 runs, but 4 earned runs total here, and just 5 innings of work here for the New York Mets. As we continue on and break down what was a very frustrating 5-4 loss for the Mets and DC against the Nationals, we find ourselves getting to the 7th inning. We're in the 7th inning, guys. We would see, I'm going to butcher the name, so I'm going to try the last name because the first name I think I'm going to get. Well, actually, let me try it. Shinosuke? Wait, no. Shinosuke? Potato? Last name is crazy. It's, wait. Agasawara? Again, I know I sound ridiculous right now. I sound major white boy, can't pronounce a Korean or Japanese name to save his life here. But listen, I'm usually good with a lot of the MPB names. I want to say this is the guy they signed from the KBO, though, and that might be why I'm butchering it right now. Because if I'm not mistaken, the guy who came in to pitch in the 7th inning here was the first ever KBO signing in Washington Nationals team history. Because I remember that announcement that they made before the season began. So regardless, this schmuck comes in and he kills the Mets right away. He gets 3 quick outs between Lindor to Soto to Marte. Did I mention that the Nationals bullpen is horrendous? Because it is, guys. He had a north of a 6 ERA entering that outing, and he went 3 up, 3 down without a problem. I'm going to the game tomorrow. Revo, I hope you have a blast, and I really hope for your sake that you actually witness a victory. Let's see. Shin-Usuki Ogasawara? Okay, I think I got a Yoshima. Again, I think we're doing this together live in real time. If we have anyone that can pronounce it better than I can, by all means, go ahead in the live chat and relay right now. I love a lot of the Korean and Japanese names especially. I actually have a lot of fun when I not only pronounce them, but I get them right on the first try. I think I kind of butchered it there, but that's okay. The same way that I butchered the name is the same way that the Mets butchered their opportunity to actually win the series here throughout their first 2 games against the Nationals. As we get to the bottom of the 7th, everybody, Gregory Soto comes in. And when in doubt, Soto out. I'm not talking about Juan this time. I'm talking about Gregory. Because Gregory, since arriving with the New York Mets, has been as nails as they come. He has himself a score setting, working around a James Wood single that we would see in a pass ball. Doesn't matter. Gregory Soto now has pitched 9.1 score settings for the Mets. He's allowed 1 unearned run, 0 earned runs, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts. Yeah, really, really good pickup. And I do hope that Gregory Soto joins someone there like that being. And Michael, I understand the frustration, but we could see it the first time. We don't got to spam it 10 times. If you spam it a little bit more, I'm going to put you in a timeout just because let's not take away from everyone else in the live chat. I hear you. I see you, Michael. I get it. It ain't going to happen, though, so it's a whole lot of yelling for nothing. The same way when people, go ahead and protest and do the things that they do in public, you guys can do you. If you guys have protested things in the past, congratulations. That's awesome and all. But there's a reason why protests usually only get so far. And I think that this is a circumstance along with them. Saying the fire Stearns is the equivalent of saying that, the Mets are going to go ahead and win every single game for the rest of the season starting tomorrow. It isn't going to happen, right? The Mets are not going to fire David Stearns in the immediate future, no matter how much you love or hate the guy. That's an absolute fact. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. However, to some fans, maybe they need to get their rocket science going, and we'll go on from there. All right, guys, as we get ourselves in the 8th inning, because nothing happens for the Nats in the 7th, the Mets roll over and die. They go down in order. 1, 2, 3. At the bottom of the 8th, we would see Reed Garrett come in and finally have himself a scoreless outing. He works around a 1-out walk, a 2-out walk there to Lyle. And then, folks, we see in the 9th inning. In the 9th inning, Cedric Mullins, as I mentioned, got on there with a 1-out single, but that's all she wrote. Upon review, Luis Torrens is out on the double play ball, and that was very frustrating when you consider the fact that the Mets really could have went out of their way to pinch hit for Ronnie Mauricio there or someone else that was available. I understand not loving Tyrone Taylor off the bench, but why are you not at least considering Ronnie Mauricio in this manner? That to me did not make all that much sense when you consider the fact that this was a prime opportunity to see what Ronnie could do. Now, the one counter I will say in favor, just a smidge here at least, of the decision-making has more so to do with the fact that I know that the final reliever that the Nationals did bring in today, that being Jose Ferreira, Jose Ferrer, how you pronounce his last name, he's a lefty. Now, if there's one thing we can definitely rightfully argue is that while we would have liked Luis Trent's pinch hit in this ball game in the ninth inning, Ronnie Mauricio is not a good hitter from the right side. Both those things can be true. So you have to bear that in mind as well. If they brought in Mauricio, he would have been banged from the right side. And Ronnie has looked brilliant from the left side in stretches this year, but from the right side, not all that much. As a division loss, now that we're 6.5 games back, it's not lost because the Mets still have 2 more series against the Phillies this year. That alone is why it's far from lost. But the problem is that there's nothing to suggest that the Mets are actually going to go ahead and play consistent winning baseball right now. And because of that reason, that's why we're discouraged. And that's why we say to ourselves, yeah, we'll kind of be surprised if the Mets somehow, some way go all the way back and win the division this year. I will be genuinely surprised if the Mets win the division at this rate. Because you have just over 30 games left this season, just over a month's worth of the season. Yes, you still have 2 massive series against the Phillies, one at home and one on the road. First one begins this Monday that I'll be in attendance for, that Moo Monday at Citi Field. We're all some friends at Moo, the official trading platform, the New York Mets. So you guys will check out. Maybe you'll get a chance to hang out with me there this upcoming Monday. Then you have that other series, I believe, beginning September 8th in Philadelphia. I will be in attendance for one, if not multiple of those games because Philly's like my backyard. I'm just over an hour from there, from where I reside in Pennsylvania, and I love to attend these really tight ball games, knowing that the Mets and the Phillies rivalry is going to be at its peak right now. Like when the Mets and the Phils match up, Phillies fans are going to want blood after what we did to them in the NLDS last year. Rightfully so. And for us Mets, we're kind of shaking our boots right now because of the fact that the Mets are a team that does not at all look like the team that we saw last year that beat the Phillies. This does not at all look like the team that went ahead and swept the Phillies at home and had a 7-0 homestand to begin the season at home. There are a lot of aspects of this club right now that are not only frustrating but disheartening because you don't have immediate answers. And going back to Francisco Alvarez's injury, this is going to continue to live rent-free in my head because Alvarez was such a focal point behind the Mets having success with their offense over the past couple weeks, and without him, there is a major problem. And knowing that you not only don't have him, even if he does return, he's probably not going to be the guy that you need him to be. And this is just not ideal, if you ask me as a Mets fan. Between what's been going wrong with the rotation with the Rose, with a runner in scoring position being as inconsistent as it is. Again, being inconsistent doesn't mean that you can't get out of ruts. And I'm very appreciative of the fact that the Mets have been hitting better with regards to the scoring position. Even today, it wasn't great, but it wasn't the worst thing imaginable. They were 2 for 7 and left 5 on base. We've seen them be worse, obviously, but it's more so in the context of you had a 1-run ball game right in your grasp, right in your hands, and instead of going out and grabbing that and winning this ball game, the Mets instead rolled over and died after they found themselves just within 1 effing run. Very frustrating as to all the other things that we talked about in tonight's post-game show of what is currently wrong in Metsland. As we continue on from here, everybody, what I do want to relay to make sure that I don't forget anything is that we did see the ump have an egregious call on Cedric Mullins back in the 6th inning. Unfortunately, Mullins had a shallow pop out that wasn't able to drive in the tying game-winning run from third. That would have been great. If the Mets got that, they got a single for Mullins. It's a tie ball game. If not, they get the lead. But I do just want to emphasize, like I said, the umpire was horrendous today, and he had a called ball call on Cedric Mullins. That was literally fastball up, clearly in the zone, clearly should have been strike 3. Instead, that wasn't. Then a pitch later is when we saw Mullins pop out there to shallow right field. But that's what you had for the ballgame, everybody. The Mets go on to lose this one by a final score of 5-4. A couple more things I want to relay, everybody, before we continue on the live show, because we have some comments, questions, and concerns to get into, as well as the breaking down some of the numbers. I do just want to take a moment to talk about something very positive because it's coming up just over the next couple days. I myself likely will not be able to attend, unfortunately, because of my very hectic schedule. And I don't live in New York, so it's easier said than done for me to make more than one New York trip happen in a week when I have to go this Monday as is. However, guys, I want to give a huge shout and a massive plug to my guy here. This is just me doing this out of the kindness of myself because I love him so much. You guys, many of you guys may know on Instagram a Mets fan account by the name of Amazing Vintage. My guy Carlos has a tremendous Mets collection of gear that he wears. He is like a true Mets head when it comes to being a sneakerhead, a hat head. He even designs his own hats that I have that he's gifted me before, and he just loves wearing Mets retro gear, and he loves the storytelling behind Mets retro gear of street style merch, among other things. And he, along with a lot of other amazing Mets people in the community, including my guy J-Mac. For those that don't know J-Mac, he's the one who made the OMG sign last year and makes all the really dope signs that you see held up there, Mets first base side there at Citi Field. Well, him, Carlos and a lot of others there are coming together for the 3rd annual Friends and Family Co-ed softball game there, August 23rd. Highly implore you guys to check this out should you have interest. It's going to be a fantastic event. It's a great job. I can't tell you guys how awesome of a guy my guy Carlos is until you meet him in person. He is as humble as one can be, and he does nothing but is constantly giving back to the Mets community there in New York. It starts from 10 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Eastern there this upcoming Saturday, everybody. And again, it's between Myrtle Ave and Woodhaven Boulevard, if you guys know where that is. So if you have interest, please go ahead, bring your little ones, have a blast. They're going to be doing face painting there. They're going to see for the kiddos. They're going to be catered as well there with Compton's Sandwich Co. So you guys will be able to get some good eats. It's going to be a great time, and there's going to be a lot of awesome people in the Mets community attending this co-ed softball game. If you guys want to go out and have some fun there on the baseball field, maybe get away from the stress that is being a Mets fan for a change and just enjoying this Mets community, please make sure to check them out. He does a fantastic job. I cannot emphasize enough how great work he's done with his charity work over the past couple of years, and he just does this all out of the kindness of his heart as well. This is not for the sake of trying to constantly promo himself and, you know, make his platform 10 times bigger than what he currently is. He is just an awesome guy, and he deserves not only the respect, but also the hype for this very exciting event upcoming. So again, guys, this Saturday, August 23rd, starting at 10 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Eastern, check it out between Myrtle Ave and Woodhaven Boulevard, the 3rd annual Friends and Family Co-ed softball game, officially hosted by my guy there at Amazing Vintage, as well as you guys will see their City Boys. I know that there's I believe On Deck Pod, which is another Mets-related podcast. J-Mac and a lot of other awesome people in the Mets community are helping making it happen. Check it out, guys, should you have interest. And if you do, please let me know how it goes, because I would love to hear it. I myself, like I said, will probably not be able to attend because I already have to go to New York on the 25th. If that didn't happen, I probably would have been able to make it swing, but unfortunately, I don't believe I can. So, Carlos, if you see this, I apologize, brother, but I hope you guys have an absolute blast, to say the least. That's going to be a lot of fun. So, guys, going on from talking about my guy Carlos there at Amazing Vintage, let's go ahead and talk about what happened in Metsland. Because outside of Kodai Senga today, everybody, we saw Tyler Rogers go a scoreless inning, Gregory Soto go a scoreless inning, and Reed Garrett go a scoreless inning as well. All of which looked fantastic. The bullpen today gets an easy grade. Today of a nice 8.5 out of 10 from your guy, Wardy. Bullpen did exactly what you needed them to do in that 3-inning sample size. On the offensive end, everybody, this is how the Mets game ended, mind you. So let's rapid fire and break down the offensive numbers for the Mets in this ball game. Unfortunately, the 5-4 loss. Francisco Lindor in this one, 258 average, 780 OPS. Juan Soto, 249 average, 882 OPS. Brandon Nimmo, who exited the ball game, 254 average, 761 OPS. And Marte, 280 average, 773 OPS. Like I said, Marte bats 280 in his sleep. You see it right there. Alonso, 265 average, 862 OPS. McNeil, 259 average, 795 OPS. Vientos, 232 average, 660 OPS. Brett Beatty, 241 average, 739 OPS. Cedric Mullins, 224 average, 714 OPS. And Luis Torrens, 210 average, 574 OPS, everybody. That is what you got from the Mets offense. They had a total of 8 hits, which was one more than the Nationals, but had an expected batting average today of 245 to 259 of DC. So that is what you got on the offensive end, everybody. Now let's go ahead and answer your comments, questions, and concerns. Everyone watching this on replay, please make sure, what's the name of his platform again? It is Amazing Vintage on Instagram especially. Check him out if you have Instagram. Easiest way to follow him over there. You'll see my guy Carlos. He's always looking clean. Usually he's repping all different types of Mets gear. He loves to wear also like Looney Tunes themed gear that he like picks up and thrifts. That's in like great condition. You'll see him rocking like Mets themed TEASE stuff, which I think is really cool, but many other things. And he does that purposely because it brings him back to his youth and it reminds him of happy times as a Mets fan. So I think that's really, really cool. So guys, we're going to continue on the live show now for the next 10 minutes to answer whatever comments, questions, or concerns you guys got for me. But everyone that's watching this on replay, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button on your way out. Let me know all your further takeaways from tonight's very frustrating 5-4 loss here against the Washington Nationals. Really do appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this live on a replay. Whenever you guys are watching this, one final stat I'll leave you with to all of our replay viewers is as follows. Since the StatCast era began in 2015, the Mets have multiple players, the Mets have the following players with multiple hits of 114 plus miles per hour of a home run in a single season. Brett Beatty now in 2025, Pete Alonso back in 2023, he had 3. Pete Alonso in 2020, the shortened season, he had 4. And Alonso back in 2019, he had 4. So Brett Beatty is literally the only man since the StatCast era started a decade ago to hit a baseball 114 plus miles per hour for a home run. If your name is not Pete Alonso, no one else has done that in recent Mets history, so that's pretty cool if you ask me. So again, guys, thank you so much for watching. Let's continue to answer all your comments, questions, and concerns, whatever you guys got for me. To everyone watching on replay, this is where Wardy's cutting things off. Let's go Mets, baby. Peace out.